Hey guys, we're going to start off on lesson 4 today, solving rational expressions using least common denominators. This is a pretty tough lesson. I'm going to give you guys about 7 examples, and you might say, oh man, 7 of them? It's just because there's many different ways you can see these problems. I got to try to at least show you one for each. And then, you're going to have your homework, and your homework will have these types of problems. Okay, so just kind of like what I told you guys in the last lesson, to find the least common denominator, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to just multiply the denominators together. So let me write that down for you guys here. Just multiply the denominators together. Now, I don't mean completely, just kind of leave them in there in the form that you see them, okay? Don't FOIL them out, just leave them alone, but you're going to see how I do it. Now, the way I'm going to teach this to you guys is not the fastest way, but it is the way that I see that most students understand it. So I'd rather go for understanding instead of going for, finishing your homework in, the fastest way possible. I'd rather want you guys to understand what you're doing, know how to do it right, and then get it done. So here we go. We're going to start off with our examples. Okay, so example 1, we're just going to solve. Okay, so we're going to solve. Now we'll start with part A, and we're going to start from easy to difficult. Okay, so we're going to start off with this one here, 2 over x equals 10. This one's pretty simple. All you have to do is solve for x. Now the way we do that, since x is in the denominator here, right, it's dividing 2, we're going to want to multiply it. So we're going to send it this way by multiplication. Okay, so this becomes 2 equal to 10 times x, which is 10x. Now to get x by itself, we're going to want to divide by 10. So x is going to be equal to 1/5, and that's your answer for that problem. It's really quick. Okay, now don't think, oh, this is going to be simple. They are going to get more difficult. Okay, but that's the first one. Okay, 2 over x equal to 10. You're going to get your x and multiply it to the other side, and then just start solving for your variable. Now let's go with B. So remember, we're going to go all the way up to G. Okay, we have 7 different examples, so we're on B right now. So the second example looks like this: 4 over 2t minus 1 over 3t. Actually, no, wait, I'm doing the wrong one. Sorry. Let's go back. It's 4 over w plus 2 minus 2 over w plus 2 equals 6. Now I wanted to do this one first because they did have like denominators. The other one did not. So I want to do that one next. But notice how these ones have like denominators. Okay, these two fractions we can combine on the left side. So let's do that. 4 minus 2 is just a 2 over w plus 2 equal to 6. Okay, now just like what we did with the other problem, we're going to multiply this w plus 2 over to that side. So this becomes, let me move this up here, 2 over, I'm sorry, not 2 over, just 2 equal to 6 times w plus 2. Now start to distribute, so that's 6w plus 12. We'll subtract 12 on both sides. So we get negative 10 equal to 6w. And then we'll divide by 6. So reduce that fraction. That's we'll reduce by 2. That's negative 5 over 3 equals to w. And there's your answer to that problem. Again, this one is a problem that has like denominators, so we don't have to worry about doing a least common denominator, at least not yet, but the next problem that we do is going to require that. So let's go to part C. So for part C, we are going to get 4 over 2t minus 1 over 3t equal to 1. Now, since the denominators are not the same, I'm going to have to multiply everything by the least common denominator. Now remember, to find the least common denominator, we're just going to get all of our denominators and put them together. Okay, and we're going to multiply everything by it. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's going to look like this. 4 over 2t. Now, my denominators are 2t and 3t, so I'm going to write this. 2t, 3t. Okay, then minus 1 over 3t. And again, my denominators are 2t and 3t, so 2t, 3t. And then on the right side equals 1 times 2t and 3t. Now, yes, I know how to do this differently, but I know that the way I got good at doing this when I was younger is that I did it this way. And it did take me a little longer, but I understood what I was doing. Okay, so that's what we're trying to get to. Now, here we go. Let's start simplifying. So notice this 2t and that 2t will cancel out. So all we have left is a 12t minus. Notice on the next one, the 3t's will cancel out. So all we have left is a 2t. You notice how the fractions have now disappeared? And then look at the right side, 2t times 3t, that's 6t squared. So let's go ahead and combine the left side, 12t minus 2t, that's 10t. Equal to 6t squared. Now, if you guys remember when we were doing this before we left school, we were solving quadratics. And what you have to do is get everything over to one side so that it's equal to 0. So I'm going to move this negative 10t, or sorry, this 10t over to the other side. So I get 0 equals 6t squared minus 10t. Now, I am going to have to factor this out. You know, that's the reason why we gave you guys those factoring worksheets about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, because we needed you guys to remember how to factor. So 0 equals 2. 6 and 10, they have a 2 in common, and they have a t in common here. So that'd be 2t times 3t minus 5. So now all I have to do is set each factor equal to 0. So 2t equals 0. 3t minus 5 equals 0. And right now we're going to be able to solve for these things, okay? So this is t equal to 0. Here I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So that's going to give me 3t equals to 5. So t is going to be equal to 5/3. So my answer, t is 0 and 5/3. So notice it's starting to get a little bit more difficult, right? Like more work. We started with pretty basic looking fraction type of equation, but once we went through and multiplied by the LCD, that's the stuff in green, we were able to get rid of our denominators. Once we get rid of our denominators, we're able to combine our functions into one main equation, set it equal to 0, factor, and then solve each one individually. So that was, what was that? C? Okay. So let's go to D. All right, so for this next problem here, we got negative 2y over, I'm sorry, not negative 2y, negative 2 over y minus 2 equal to 18 over y squared minus 8y plus 12. Okay, so that's what we end up with when we're doing this problem. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is let you guys know that whenever you have a fraction equal to a fraction, we are not going to multiply by an LCD. We are going to multiply diagonally, and that's only because it says equals. Okay, if it says equals, we multiply diagonally. So we get negative 2 times y squared minus 8y plus 12 equal to 18 times y minus 2. Okay, now what we're going to do at this point is we are going to go ahead and distribute a little bit. So negative 2y squared plus 16y minus 24. Okay, so every sign changes on the left side. So negative 2y squared plus 16y minus 24. And then over here it's going to be 18y minus 36. Now, just like we did in the other problem, we have to combine everything. So in combining everything, we're going to have to move stuff either all to the left or all to the right. So I'm going to move the 18y first by subtracting it. Minus 18y right there. So this becomes negative 2y squared minus 2y minus 24 equals negative 36. And then I'm going to add 36 to both sides here. Okay, so let me move this up here. So we get negative 2y squared minus 2y, and 36 minus 24 is a 12, positive. Now the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to divide everything by negative 2. Okay, everything is going to be divided by a negative 2. So negative 2 here, negative 2 there, a negative 2 there, and here a negative 2 as well, because I want to get rid of that. I noticed they all have that in common. So this becomes y squared plus y minus 6 equals 0. Now in order to solve, I'm going to have to factor. So let's do an x method here for this thing, okay? We're going to do an x method. So a minus 6 goes here, a positive 1 is there. Two numbers that multiply to negative 6 and add up to a positive 1 would be a positive 3 and a negative 2. So this will be y plus 3, y minus 2 equals 0. Okay, so now you got to solve each one. Y plus 3 equals 0, y minus 2 equals 0, which means that y is either equal to negative 3 or to 2. So let me write that down properly here. Y is negative 3 and also 2. Okay, so there's my solution for that one. Now that one's pretty weird looking, but remember the reason why it started off the way it did, because it was a fraction on each side only. There was no plus or minus extra stuff. It was just a fraction equal to a fraction. And if a fraction equals to a fraction, we call those proportions. And the way you do a proportion is that you cross multiply, okay? Multiply like an x. Okay, you're going to do it diagonally. And then from there, we just simplified, factored, and solved. Okay, so that was part D. Remember I said we were going to go up to G. We have 3 more to go. So the next one looks like this. Now you might say, well, this one doesn't look as hard as the other one. Well, it really isn't, but it just looks a little different. It almost looks like it's going to be a lot easier, but in order to do this, we're going to have to do an LCD again, right? So in order to do the LCD, we need to multiply by all the denominators. The denominator is 2 and an x, so I'm going to multiply everything by 2x, okay? So 3 over 2 times 2 times x equals 4 over x times 2 times x plus 2 times 2 times x. Again, I know this one takes longer, this method takes longer, but I just think it's so much easier to understand. So we can cancel out our 2's right there. So I just get 3x on that side. On the next fraction, I can cancel out my x's. So all I get is an 8. Okay. Plus, and then on the last one, well, there's nothing to cancel out, but 2 times 2 times x is just 4x. Okay. So all I have to do now is move things around. So let's subtract 4x on both sides. This gives me negative x equals to 8, which means that x must be negative 8. And there you go. There's your solution. Okay, so just remember, multiply by your LCD, which is all your denominators, okay? But don't like put them together. Just leave them all like in little parentheses so that you can cancel stuff out, because that's what's supposed to happen. Things are supposed to cancel out. They're supposed to go away. All right, almost there. 2 more. So, all right, 2 over x plus 1 equals 3 over 2x plus 3 plus 1. So this is kind of like the one we just did, E, but this one has more of an expressions on the bottom than just a 2 and an x. So my denominators are x plus 1 and 2x plus 3. So that's what I'm going to be looking at, okay, when I'm going to multiply. So here we go. 2 over x plus 1, and then times x plus 1 times 2x plus 3 equals to 3 over 2x plus 3 times x plus 1 times 2x plus 3 plus 1 times x plus 1 times 2x plus 3. Okay, so now I know this gets really long because of the fact that you have to rewrite these things over and over again, but just bear with me. Like I said, it does take longer, but I think it's easier to do. We cancel out what we have in common there, so this is just 2 times 2x plus 3 equals to, here the 2x plus 3's will go away, so it's just going to be 3 times x plus 1. And then 1 times that, well, it's going to be x plus 1 times 2x plus 3. Now let's go ahead and distribute, okay? So this will be 4x plus 6 equal to 3x plus 3 plus, now we have to distribute x plus 1 times 2x plus 3, so let's do the first terms, that's 2x squared, the outer terms, that's 3x, the inner terms, that's 2x, and the last terms, that's a 3. Now, you just have to combine everything here, so 4x plus 6 equals, let's see, I have this, and this, and this as like terms. I have these as like terms, and the 2x squared is not a like term with anything, so we're just going to write 2x squared, okay, and then the x's together, that's 3x plus 3x plus 2x, that's 6, 7, 8x, okay, so plus 8x, and then 3 plus 3, that's a plus 6, so alright, here we go. Now I'm going to subtract 4x on both sides, minus 4x. So this will be 6 equals 2x squared plus 4x plus 6. And then I'm going to subtract 6. And if you're wondering, why is he moving everything over? Remember, our goal whenever we're solving is to get it set equal to 0. Okay, so now it says 0 equals 2x squared plus 4x. Now, since I have to solve, that means I'm most likely going to have to factor. Now, since this is not a trinomial, that means I'm just going to look for the greatest common factor, which would be a 2x. So I have x plus 2 as my other factor. So let's just set each one of these equal to 0. And we solve, so this one's easy, x is 0. This one's also simple, x is negative 2. So x is negative 2 and 0. And that would be your solution to that problem. Okay, so last one. Here we go. Hopefully this is going smoothly as you guys are going through it. Remember, you can rewatch these videos on either my YouTube channel or through Edpuzzle. The only thing with Edpuzzle is you can't fast forward. But remember, you have to watch the video once because I am giving you guys a grade for watching it and answering those questions. But after that, go to my YouTube channel and you guys can see it there. All right, so here we go. X over x minus 3 minus 10 over x squared minus 9 equals 3 over x plus 3. Now remember, to do these, you gotta multiply by the LCD. This is gonna get a little messy here, but it's okay. We have 3 different denominators this time. So x over x minus 3 times x minus 3, x squared minus 9, x plus 3. Okay, and then we're going to put minus 10 over x squared minus 9. I don't know if we're going to have to use a graphing calculator for this, but you guys have Desmos, just so you know, because I just made this problem up, kind of trying to write something similar to what you had in your homework. And that's equal to 3 over x plus 3. And that'll be x minus 3, x squared minus 9, x plus 3. Alright, so let's cancel stuff they have in common. So x minus 3 is there. Okay, so let me rewrite this. This will be x times x squared minus 9 times x plus 3. Okay, and then over here we'll get rid of this. Alright, so that's going to be minus 10 times x minus 3 times x plus 3. And then on the last one, we're going to get rid of the x plus 3. So this will be 3 times x minus 3 times x squared minus 9. Again, I told you guys earlier, this method is not the fastest way. I know that there's better ways, but sometimes when you're learning this for the first time, it's best for you to see it a way that makes sense. So that's what I'm trying to get you guys through here. All right, so let's multiply some stuff out here. So x times x squared, that's x cubed minus 9x times x plus 3. We'll do that stuff soon. Minus 10 times x minus 3 times x plus 3 is a difference of 2 squared. That's actually x squared minus 9. Okay, so that becomes that. And then over here, we're going to get 3x minus 9 times x squared minus 9. Okay, so we have that. We got to keep multiplying. So let's see. X cubed, we're going to use foiling, okay? X cubed times x, that's x to the 4th. Outer is 3x cubed, inner is minus 9x squared, and last is negative 27x. So there's that. Now let's do the negative 10. So it's a negative 10x squared plus 90. And then over here, we'll do first, outer, inner, last. So that's 3x cubed. So 3x cubed, and then outer will be a negative 27x. The inner will be a negative 9x squared. And the last will be a positive 81. Okay. Again, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I do apologize if it's going to get a little weird, but I'm just trying to do something that's very similar to one of the hardest problems that I saw. So, I mean, I guess it's okay if it's difficult, if it's one of the hardest ones I saw. So here we go. Let's start by moving everything from the right side to the left side. So I'm going to subtract 3x cubed. Okay, so notice it goes away, right? It cancels out. All right, awesome. So that's x to the 4th minus 9x squared minus 27x minus 10x squared plus 90 equals negative 27x minus 9x squared plus 81. All right. Now, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to do 2 steps here. I'm going to add 27x. And I'm also going to add 9x squared, because I just noticed when I do this, they'll actually cancel out. Okay, this will cancel, that'll cancel, this will cancel, that'll cancel. So I end up with the following terms. X to the 4th minus 10x squared plus 90 equals 81. Okay? Now, I'm going to subtract 81. So this becomes x to the fourth minus 10x squared plus 9 equals 0. Now, there is a way for you to factor this, but that's going to mean that I'm going to have to go into a lot more teaching of a different subject. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you to go to Desmos, and we're going to type this in. All right, so I went to Desmos and I graphed it. You guys can see right here. I typed in the equation. You actually don't even have to put the y. You could just put the x to the fourth minus 10x squared plus 9 that we had in the problem. So just to show you, I'll kind of get rid of it. So there you go, x to the fourth minus 10x squared plus 9. And what you're going to notice is that it graphs it for us. Okay, so there's our graph. Okay, there's the whole graph. So if you guys remember what I used to tell you, that your solutions are found where the graph crosses the y-axis. So if we look at this, let me kind of make this a little bit thicker here in projector mode. So if I touch the graph, you're going to see there is an answer, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. So you're going to take your x values, -3, -1, 1, and 3. So let's go back to this. And I'm just going to put right here, using Desmos. We found that x is going to be -3, -1, 1, and 3. So those are our functions. Okay, now the way you were supposed to do this, just in case you're curious, you're supposed to factor that as x squared minus 1, x squared minus 9, equal to 0. Then when you solve them both, you get x squared minus 1 equals 0, x squared minus 9 equals 0. So x squared equals 1. That means that x has to be plus or minus 1, because you would take a square root of both sides. And then you would do the same thing here. X squared equals to 9. So x is equal to plus or minus 3, because you would have to take a square root of both sides. But that's something that I would have to kind of teach you guys at a later time. And this is the only problem that this happens with, so we really don't have to do it. So just use Desmos to help you find the answers. So that's the whole lesson, guys. I know it's a long lesson. Please try your best to work on this. And again, if you have questions, let us know. Okay, we're here to help you guys. Have a good day.